To better understand where this excessive concern for what others think comes from, there's a fascinating psychology study that helps explain this behavior. The study discusses the spotlight effect, where we believe that we're constantly in the spotlight and that everyone around us notices every mistake, every detail. This effect causes our mind to overestimate how much others pay attention to us. Additionally, there's the so-called illusion of transparency, where we imagine that others can read our emotions like an open book, making us even more anxious about how we're being perceived. This study shows us that this insecurity has a real psychological basis. It's not just a fleeting impression. Do you feel like you're always worried about being perfect? Afraid of making mistakes? And does this constant worry just leave you feeling stuck? Have you ever thought about what your life would be like if you just stopped caring so much about others' opinions? What if you could free yourself from that weight? This anxiety you feel didn't just come out of nowhere, and it's certainly not just all in your head. The perfectionism that makes you hesitate before acting, that holds you back and leaves you paralyzed in the face of possibilities, stems from a deep, unconscious belief that you'll only be accepted if you're flawless. This is what's called an all or nothing mindset. Either you do something perfectly, or it's a complete failure. This type of thinking feeds the fear of disapproval, making you believe that others' judgment is more important than your own experience. Our brain has defense mechanisms that often end up sabotaging us. This all or nothing mode is one of these mental traps. It works something like this. You think that if you don't do something perfectly, then it's not worth trying. This rigid thinking makes your mind interpret every action as a potential threat to your self-worth. It's as if any mistake is a grave character flaw, something that everyone will notice and judge. In trying to protect yourself from this supposed judgment, your mind starts creating extreme standards of self-criticism, like I need to be perfect, or if it's not good enough, it's not worth it. This fuels a cycle of anxiety and self-criticism that keeps you from acting or expressing yourself naturally. Imagine a simple situation. You're in a meeting at work, and an idea pops into your head, something that could really contribute to the project. But before speaking up, you start thinking of all the ways it could go wrong. What if it's not a good idea? What if I stutter? What if people laugh? You stay silent while you see others making suggestions that, deep down, you know are less effective than what you had in mind. This is the real impact of perfectionism. It holds you back, makes you believe that being vulnerable is dangerous, and in the end, you end up being your own obstacle. You can start to change this dynamic, and the first step is to challenge those automatic perfectionistic thoughts. Accepting mistakes as part of the learning process doesn't mean doing things haphazardly. After all, quality and perfectionism are different things. When we understand that mistakes are allies of progress, not villains, the process becomes lighter. Think about any skill you have today. You didn't master it on the first try. There's a learning curve where each step, including the mistakes, helps build your competence. The more you practice, the more natural and less intimidating the experience becomes. Instead of seeing mistakes as a threat to your worth, view them as essential tools for growth. When you feel yourself being overly critical, ask yourself, am I learning something new from this? This simple adjustment helps deactivate the all or nothing thinking and lets you see progress instead of perfection as your true goal. To further support this change, why not bring self-compassion a little closer? Remember, building confidence and softening rigidity is a gradual process, like any other skill. A simple exercise is to celebrate small victories, no matter how minor. Let's say you challenged yourself to speak in public, even while feeling insecure. After the presentation, instead of focusing on what didn't go as expected, recognize that you had the courage to try. That's a step ahead of where you were before. Over time, this practice of valuing progress rather than fixating on the final outcome helps transform how you view yourself and relate to mistakes. Gradually, you'll realize that your self-confidence doesn't depend on perfection, but on your ability to move forward regardless of the flaws. So if you feel that the fear of mistakes or others' opinions is holding you back, remember to be guided by your most genuine interests. Others are just others. Those who wish you well will feel proud of your steps, and those who don't care don't matter. And that's perfectly fine. If this message resonated with you, share in the comments a situation where perfectionism may have held you back, or what you're doing to overcome it. This gesture of generosity and courage could help many others going through the same thing. Don't forget, right below there's a thumb pointing up. Go ahead and click on it, okay? This will help this video reach more people. It will support the channel and help others achieve a life with more mental and emotional freedom.